Hi, this is Richard Murray with another session of Parking Lot Theology. I want to talk to you today about how to do a good checkup on your theology, on what you think about God. Theology is just a word, but it really means what you think, what you feel about God, the image that you have of Him, what you believe about His nature. All of that is theology, okay? So we all have it. We just, some people don't like that word, but it just describes how you love God with your thoughts, how you love God with your image of Him, how you love God with your feelings towards Him, and that sort of thing. So anyhow, how do we do a checkup? We all get into some different things and some different veins of thoughts and some new ways of thinking, but how do we judge a particular thing we're heading toward, a particular journey we're on? How do we do a checkup to make sure that our theology is good, that it's fresh, that it's vibrant, that it's tapping into the energies of God? How do we do a checkup? And I would propose that there's really only one way and one principle, one dynamic on which to judge where you're at, how good your thinking is, how God honoring it is, and how God interactive it is. And it's this. I want to call this the preeminence of Christ. And I want to read you a passage, and then I want to say that this one passage can always bring alignment into your thinking. If you're getting into a new teaching, whether anybody's teaching, my teaching, anybody else's teaching, and you want to say, well, gosh, is this God pleasing? Is this God honoring? Is this bringing me closer and closer into the divine nature and appreciating it and being in awe of it and interacting with it and being led by it? Then it's this one thing, and it is the preeminence of Christ. And this passage is in Colossians. It's in Colossians 1:15 through 20, but let me read it to you. And it's titled, the heading on it is the preeminence of Christ. In verse 15, He, Christ, is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation. For by Him all things were created in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or rulers or authorities. All things were created through Him and for Him. And He is before all things, and in Him all things hold together. And He is the head of the body, the church. He is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in everything He might be preeminent. For in Him all the fullness of God was pleased to dwell, and through Him to reconcile to Himself all things, whether on earth or in heaven, making peace by the blood of His cross. Oh, I love that passage. That passage gets me excited. But it's all about the preeminent, and we know what the word preeminent means. It just means putting Him first place. It's elevating Him. It's putting Him first. It's elevating Him. It's magnifying Him. It's making Him the core thought, the core impulse. He is the source, the river, the source of the river, where all the pure and pristine waters come from. It's all about Christ. So here's the test when you're testing your theology, or any new theology, or any new way of thinking. Does this lead me closer to the preeminence of Christ? Do I feel as if Christ is more preeminent in my thoughts, in my words, in my actions, in my prayers, in my rejoicing, in my joy, in my peace? Is Jesus being made preeminent? Do I talk about Jesus? Is Jesus your obsessive thought? Is Jesus your favorite topic? Is Jesus your favorite your best friend, that you feel that you're communicating with and being led by and feeling His promptings within your heart and your thoughts? Is he taking the throne? In other words, I don't think it's all a matter of you just giving Him the throne at one point. And that's good, but I mean, it's Him ascending to the surface of your thoughts. It's Him ascending to the surface of your first best thought, your first best emotion, your first best response, your first best prayer. Jesus is being made preeminent, and you know that He is being made preeminent if He is the topic. All right, that's a nickname I came up with Jesus for years ago. He is the topic for me. All right, even when I'm wrong, He's still the topic. All right, and I try to be right. I want to be right, but even if I'm wrong about Him, He still is the topic. And I notice today when people get carried off by strange and diverse teachings, as Paul said, they go to a place where Jesus is no longer the topic. The topic just gets marginalized. We don't really need Jesus. Yeah, He was a good example. Yeah, he was good. He found Himself. He found God. and that's good for him. But now I need to find God. All right. No, you need to find Jesus and I need to find Jesus. And we need to walk in that elevated state, allowing him, the sons of God, the children of God, Romans 8:14 says, are those who are led by the Spirit of God. And the Spirit is just the prompting presence. This is the Spirit of Christ. You know, Paul says it. If you have not the Spirit of Christ, you have none of this. All right, so the Spirit of Christ, that is the Holy Spirit, all right? And that is the way. And the Holy Spirit is always going to take of the Father, always speak of the Son. Take of the Father, speak of the Son, glorify the Son, so that in him all things will be reconciled and gathered together. Ooh, that's exciting. That is the end game for the bride, for the church, for all of us, is to make Christ preeminent. So, when you're grading your own theology, you don't need a teacher to grade your theology. You need you to grade it, all right? And you need to take an honest pen to it, a spiritual pen. You know, your heart is the pen of a ready writer, you know, David said. And let it be honest. Do you feel closer to Jesus because of this teaching? Do you feel closer to the Spirit of Christ because of this new way of thinking, because of this theology? And that's why we want our theology to be experiential, all right? Experiential theology is theology you experience, all right? It allows you to interact with a divine presence. Ooh, and that nothing is more precious than that, wonderful than that. That's what the whole thing is about. So anyhow, look at those passages. Grade yourself. Be honest with yourself. And hey, if a teaching isn't making Christ preeminent, or even mentioning Christ, or even just bending the knee to Christ, then you need to get away from it. Because, you know, I don't care how right it may be on its surface, it's not going to bring you the joy. It's not going to bring you the presence of the Lord in a more rich and dynamic way. And that's what we all want. I know it's what I want. Look at everybody's opinions on Facebook and everywhere else. Everyone's got opinion after opinion, including me, all right? But what I'm saying is we get away from manly opinions into divine interactions. That's the goal of this. And divine interactions only come from as Christ becomes more and more preeminent in our lives. I can look at my life from 30 years ago when I became a Christian and what's happened since then. And just say that I can honestly say, you know, I've had erroneous thinking about Christ. I've had times when I wasn't thinking about him at all. I've had times when I didn't want to think about him. But the times that, as we connect the dots of the times when I've really wanted him, when he's been my magnificent obsession, I can honestly say that those are the only things in my life that have brought me joy. And even through, you know, the joy of the family and joy of other things, sure, but even that is channeled through Christ. That he might preeminent in that he would be preeminent in our fatherhood, in our husbandhood, in our motherhood, in our daughterhood, in our brotherhood, in our sisterhood. That he would be preeminent at our jobs, in all things. You know, and he becomes preeminent by us acknowledging him. You know, the premise in the Bible is acknowledge the Lord and he'll direct your paths. Acknowledge him in all your ways and he'll direct your paths as he becomes preeminent. So that's why I've been trying to say more prayers under my breath if I'm, you know, in the courtroom or if I'm just in bad situations. I talk to God under my breath. I'm sure y'all do too sometimes, but I used to do it all the time and I strayed away from doing that. But now I'm trying to consciously be more intentional about making him preeminent and inviting his preeminence to enter every situation. Anyhow, hope this bless you and talk to you next time. Thanks.